What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, hello and welcome. In today's video, we are going to be playing with the new Frosty the Snowman collection from Colourpop. This is so incredibly adorable. I couldn't resist. I love Frosty the Snowman. I really enjoy Colourpop, and I'm excited for the upcoming Christmas season. It's one of my favorite times of year. Now, I did not pick up everything in this collection. There was a ton of lip products, which is the last thing that I need. There was also a makeup sponge as well that I decided to skip out on, but I did pick up the eyeshadow palette, of course, the Super Shock highlighters, and lastly the Jelly Mutt shadows, which I've actually never played with these before, and I'm excited to test them out. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on them, but I like the colors, so we're gonna play with them. We're gonna do swatches. We're gonna create a couple of different looks, and at the end of the video I will give you my first initial impression thoughts. But before we do that, let's go over the details of what I actually did pick up. So starting with the eyeshadow palette, of course we have Frosty on the front. This is a 15 pan palette. It does retail for $24, and look at that. 'Tis the season to be freezing. I wish, not here in Texas, but this is our color story, and I do really like it. I think it's really pretty. We've got pastels in here. We've got a lot of depth. I don't know if we necessarily needed both of these black shades in here. This one's a true black and this one's like a charcoal black. Honestly, I didn't pay attention to the color story when I was purchasing this. I saw Frosty, my mind went to childhood memories, and I picked it up. But we do have a good selection of mattes in here otherwise. We've got a pink, a blue, a nice neutral over here. These two shades are like the matte with the sparkle in them, so they kind of perform like a matte in my eyes. I don't ever have any issues with them. But the shimmers in here, we've got multi-chromes and duochromes, and I think they're absolutely beautiful. But like I said, I did pick up some other things. So we have these Super Shock highlighters right here. This is going to be a set of two. It retails for $16, and we have the shades Winter Wonderland and Icicle Spree. We will open these up and do swatches in just a little bit. And then the last thing I picked up, like I said, were the Jelly Mutt shadows. There's two in here as well. These retail for $12, and we have the shades Freezin' and Made of Snow. Now, I will have everything listed and linked down below in the description box, as well as everything else that I used to complete today's looks. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check that description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But let's go ahead and zoom in, prime my eyes, get my hair out of my face, and start playing with this collection. Alright, so let's go ahead and kick things off with these two Super Shock highlighters included in this collection. So we're going to go ahead and start with the shade Icicle Spree. It's this really pretty kind of tie-dye pinky shade right here. I'm very curious to see what it's going to look like. So let's go ahead and do a swatch on the back of my hand. Now, I love the Super Shock highlighter formula. It looks beautiful on the skin. It has a beautiful reflection to it. You can use them on the eye, the inner corner, apply it with your fingers, apply it with a brush, a sponge. They're very versatile in my eyes, but that is going to be the first shade. Very pretty. It has like a little bit of like a lavender pink flip to it. I really like that one. So let's go ahead and apply that one to the cheek first. So I'm going to go in with my Singe Beauty F07 brush. I prefer a more dense highlighter brush when I use these because it's easier to pick up the product. So I'm just going to go ahead and swirl my brush in here really good. And I'm going to put this one on this cheek over here. And then maybe the other side will apply it with my fingers, and I can show you how I do that. But look at how beautiful that is. And the best part is you can build these up and really make them blinding, or you can go in softly handed and kind of sheer them out a little bit. I'm sure everybody's familiar with a Super Shock highlighter, but just in case you're not and you haven't tried them before, they are fantastic, super affordable. And if you haven't tried them, I highly recommend that you do. But look at that. That's absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's move on to the next shade. So the next one is called Winter Wonderland. This looks like it's going to be just a really pretty icy highlighter. I don't have a lot of those in my collection because it's just not something I prefer. I usually tend to gravitate towards like a pink or a lavender or like a champagne-y shade. But let's do our swatch of this one. So this one is going to be right here. That one looks like it has a little bit of a blue flip to it, but it's still very icy, very pretty, on theme, absolutely beautiful. Okay, so I'm actually going to apply this one with my finger, which is one of my favorite ways to do this. So I'm just going to pick it up, and what I like to do is start by dabbing it along my cheekbone, and then I go back and just kind of swirl and buff along the cheekbone. And if you want more of like an intense highlighting effect, that's going to be the way to do that. But that's absolutely beautiful. Both of them have a nice transparent base to them. They're not too dark. I don't know how these are going to work on deeper skin tones. So if you have a deeper skin tone and you've picked these up or you're experienced with these shades, let us know down below how they work for you. But that's absolutely beautiful. I really do love these two highlighters. Alright, so before we jump into the eye look, I want to swatch out the Jelly Mutt shadows. I'm going to try and use at least one of them in one of the looks, but I want to swatch them out before we do that. So let's go ahead and open up this box and see what the formula is like, because like I said, I've never played with these before, so this is very new to me. So the first shade that we have is going to be Freezin'. These are so incredibly cute. The component is a lot smaller than like a Super Shock or an eyeshadow single, so just wanted to point that out. But let's open this up. All right, so there is the shade Freezin' inside. It's a really pretty like icicle blue shade. So let's do a swatch. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. It's like, it reminds me of like Play-Doh or GAC or whatever you used to call it when we were kids, or at least when I was a kid. But let's do a swatch right here. Oh, that is really, really pretty. I love that. It's a nice toppery shade. I'm sure you could probably build it up. It feels like it's gonna dry down really nicely. So we'll see what work time is like, but it has a really pretty, almost purple flip to it. That one's beautiful. Okay, let's swatch out the other one because we have the shade Made of Snow. And this one is going to be more of a pinky shade. If I can get it over or open. I appreciate you tightening it, but that is the shade right here. Very pretty. So let's do a swatch of this one. These are so weird feeling, like it's really throwing me off with the texture. And I'm not normally a huge texture person, but oh, that one's really pretty as well. These would be beautiful to just like tap on the center of the lid, inner corner, maybe even a highlighter, I think. But they do dry down really, really fast. I'm noticing that. So if you use it as a highlighter, I would suggest going in really fast. But those are absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's go ahead and start creating our look. So let me get things kind of cleared up, situated, and we're gonna do this. Alright y'all, so my eyes are primed with my MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly, and we're going to go ahead and kick off this first look with this mid-tone brown shade right here, which has a little bit of a cool undertone to it. This one is called Always Very Merry. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a BK Beauty 201 brush, and I'm going to start by fluffing this into the crease of my eye. Now, I'm really interested to see how these shades are going to perform on the eye, because Colourpop is very hit or miss when it comes to their formula. I've said it several times. I feel like they give us their best formula in their collabs, but as I quickly learned with their Beauty and the Beast collection, that's not always true. This is going on really nicely though. It's very buildable in pigmentation, which is exactly what I expect. I'm not getting any patching, skipping, fallout. It's fluffing out really nicely, and I do like that shade. That's a really pretty neutral transition. I'm going to bring that shade down onto my lower lash line as well, just kind of fluffing and buffing it down here. Nothing real precise, just very whimsical back and forth motions. Alright, so next I want to go into this pastel blue shade right here, which is called Splendid, and I'm going to see if I can build up my outer corner with that shade. So I'm going to go ahead and pick it up with a Sigma E28 brush, and I'm just going to start to build this shade out here. So I want to see how pigmented this is going to be. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice and pigmented, absolutely beautiful. It blends in nicely. I'm not getting any patching, skipping, no fallout. There's minimal kick up in the pan with this one. This is a really nice pastel blue. Like, it's got some depth to it. I like it. Alright, so I'm just wrapping that around down onto my lower lash line as well, just kind of lining it up with what I have going on my lid, but that looks really pretty. I'm impressed with the pigmentation of it. I was afraid that I wasn't going to have a lot of variety when it comes to depth in this palette, even though we do have the depth, but so far I'm getting what I want. Okay, let's move on. So we're gonna go in with, I think we're gonna go in with like this blackened gray shade over here, just because this is such a light shade on my outer corner, and we're gonna build up some depth with this one. So this one is called Button Nose, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick that shade up with a Sigma E30 E33? Yes, E33 brush. Sorry, I can't see anything. I have really bad eyesight to begin with, and I don't have glasses on, so you have to excuse me. But I'm just going to start by kind of pressing this right here in the outer corner. I want to see how the depth is going to build up on top of this pastel shade. Pastels sometimes build up really nicely on each other. Sometimes they don't build up too well because they do have so much white pigment to them, but we're going to see what this does. Now, this is not a true black, so I don't expect to get like a true black outer corner, but we're definitely getting some depth out there. And you know what? I'm happy with the amount that I'm getting. I feel like it's not overwhelming. The contrast isn't too much. It's building up, it's blending out, and I think that looks really nice. So I'm just gonna go ahead and bring that down onto the outer portion of my lower lash line as well, build up a little bit more, and then we're gonna move on. All right, so for all over the lid, I think I want to start with this deeper blue shimmer shade down here, and then maybe we'll bring in one of the Jelly Mutt shadows, but I'm going to go ahead and start with this one. So this one is called 1969. I have already primed my lid with my NYX glitter primer per usual, and I'm going to start by picking that shade up with a BK Beauty 203 brush. I am going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus, and I'm going to start by pressing this all over my lid and just building it up, kind of buffing it out, blending it, all of that jazz. So I'm going to start by pressing it down, and once I have that shade down, I can start to blend it a little bit more. I did feel some fallout come down on my face. This does feel like it's a little bit of a crumbly shade. It's got a little bit of dryness to it. It's not going to be super, what's the word that I'm looking for, like wet or anything like that, but it doesn't feel super dry either. It just doesn't feel like it's got a whole lot to it to kind of hold those shimmers in there, but we're just gonna roll with it. So I'm gonna press all over, and then once I have that shade down and my brush is a little bit on the drier side, I can start to kind of blend and soften everything. So next I want to go into this duochrome shade over here that's got a little bit of a deeper base. This one is called Busy Busy Busy. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with my BK Beauty 203 brush as well. I just wiped it off really good. I'm going to spray it, and we're going to kind of pop this over top this outer corner over here. I want to add just a little bit more of that depth back in. These shimmers are coming off a little bit more sheer than what they look like in the palette, which is fine, but I don't ever swatch things out beforehand. I like to kind of go in and just do my thing. So, you know, it's one of the things that happens when you don't swatch things out, but I like that. That looks really pretty. All right, for the inner corner, we're gonna go into this blue Jelly Mutt shadow, which is called Freezin'. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick this up with, let's go in with this, a BK Beauty 207 brush. So I'm just gonna kind of dip it in there a little bit, pick it up on my brush, and I'm just gonna dab it right here in the inner corner. I figured since these were kind of sheer, it would make a beautiful inner corner shade, and that definitely does. I really like that added lightness and brightness that it brought in there, and this is going on really easily. Obviously, I'm just going into a tiny little space, but you know, I'll keep y'all posted in a future speed reviews video. Alright y'all, so this is the first completed look with this palette, and I do think this turned out really pretty. It's very light, it's very wintry. I like the blue tones in here, and I'm actually really impressed with the amount of depth that I was able to get, given the fact that I put a darker shade over top of a pastel shade. I think it looked really pretty. That shimmer is beautiful on the lid, and I actually really like that Jelly Mutt shadow. It was very user-friendly. It wasn't kind of messy to use. It dries down really quickly. It's not irritating my eyes or anything like that. So far so good, but we do have another look to create, so let's go over what I used to finish off this look. So in my lower waterline, I went in with a Colourpop cream gel liner in the shade Prance. I lined my lid with my ZC liquid liner, and then finished everything off with my Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerized mascara. But for the second look, I definitely think I want to play with like the pink and green in here. So I want to play with these two shades and maybe throw in a little bit of depth, maybe see what this black can do over top. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start with this pink shade right here, which is called Thermometer, and I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with a, well, if I can pick it up without dropping it, a BK Beauty 212 brush, and I'm going to start by putting this in my crease. I really want to build up this shade and get the full opacity of it. Now I am very cool undertoned. If you're not new here, you know that, so I don't know how well this is going to show up. Sometimes pinks really pop on my cool undertone, and sometimes they kind of blend in a little too well, and it it looks like this is going to be one of those, it's going to blend into my skin tone really well, but I'm just going to kind of see if I can keep packing and building and blending, and then we'll move on from there. Alright, so this is what that shade is looking like. It's definitely there, but it's also really blended into my skin tone. It's not popping as much as I wanted it to. In all reality, I probably should have gone in with a white eyeshadow base, but I didn't even think about it because of how dark it looks in the pan. But we're going to go ahead and move forward. And what I want to do is I want to take this shade right here, this really pretty mint green with sparkles in it, which is called Wishy Washy. And I'm going to put this in my inner corner and kind of blend it down onto my lower lash line as well. So to do that, I'm going to go in with a BK Beauty 211 brush. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up that shade, and we're going to start by pressing it right here in the inner corner and kind of very softly blend it up into that crease. I don't want to over blend this because I don't want it to go away, but I also don't want to have any harsh lines. So I'm just going to kind of blend, and then I'm going to drag it across down here along my lower lash line. Alright, so this is what we're looking like, and I have to say that these pastels aren't popping as much as I want them to. Yes, I do have very fair skin, but usually pastels pop against my skin tone very well, and I don't normally need to go in with a white eyeshadow base. I think these are going to require it. I will have to try that in the future and let y'all know, but so far I'm not really impressed with these pastels, but we're going to chug forward and just keep going on. So I'm going to go in with this black shade down here, which is called Frosty's Hat, and I'm going to pick that up with my Morphe M506 brush, and I'm very lightly going to kind of build up this outer corner a little bit. I need some depth to this look badly, so I'm just going to kind of press this shade out here. Okay, so it's not a super pigmented black, but it's also not a horrible black either, but I'm just going to keep building up that pigmentation, and then once I have it down, I can kind of soften and blend everything, and I am going to bring that down to the outer portion of my lower lash line as well. Alright, so for all over the lid, I think I want to go in with a combination of these two shimmer shades right here. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this more pinkier one up here, which is called Happy Birthday. This is going to be a duochrome, and I'm actually just going to kind of pick this up with my finger since these are a little bit more on the dry side, which is not something I normally get from Colourpop. So I'm just going to press this all over my lid, which is primed with my NYX glitter primer, but I'm going to stop right around there because I want to bring in that other shade for the more inner portion, just so I can bring a little bit more color and depth into this look that is really pretty once it's on the lid. I will give it that. It's not emphasizing texture. I'm not getting any fallout since I'm picking this one up with my finger. So I'm just going to go ahead and press it on, and then we'll go in with the other shade. Alright, so next we're going to go in to this one right here, this really pretty minty green one, which is called Ice and Snow. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my finger yet again, and I'm going to put this on sort of the inner portion of my lid and kind of blend it up onto the lid into that pink shade right there. I'm not bringing it into my inner corner. I'm going to save that for something else. I was intentionally going to leave it matte, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to bring in one of these other shades. So I'm just going to kind of blend everything together, and then we're going to carry on. Okay, I think I want to go in with this dark kind of black duochrome down here, which is called To the North Pole. So I'm going to pick that up with my finger one more time. This one feels nice and soft, nice and creamy, and I'm going to put this one right here. Why can't they all feel that way? And I'm just going to press it right here where that matte and that shimmer meet, and once I have it down, I'm going to take a clean finger and just kind of blend everything together. If I need to go back in with more of that pink shade, I absolutely can. I don't want it to take over. I just want to have a nice blend. Alright, so to finish off this look, we're going to go to this really pretty white shimmer shade up here, which is called Jolly Soul. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with my Singe Beauty EO1 brush. I'm going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus, and we're going to pop this in the inner corner and finish up this look. So let's see what you're going to give me. Okay, that's really pretty. I do like that. So I'm just going to kind of press it in my inner corner, blend it up onto my lid and down onto my lower lash line, making sure we don't have any harsh lines and we just have a really pretty flow. All right, y'all, so this is the second completed look with this palette, and I do think it turned out really pretty, but I will say I wish I had gone in with a white eyeshadow base beforehand so I could really get the full maximum impact of these shades, but it is very pretty. It blended really nicely, and performance-wise, I didn't have any issues with blending, patching, skipping, fallout, anything like that across the board. But let's go over what I used to finish off this look so we can turn down the lights, we can see the shimmer, the shift, the sparkle, and then close out this video with my first initial impression thoughts. So in my waterline for this one, I went in with an About Face eye crayon. This is in the shade Baroque, I believe is what that says, or Pearly. I'm not sure. It'll be down in the description box. I can't read that very well. But then I also lined my lid with my ZC liquid liner and finished everything off with my Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerize mascara. Alright y'all, so let's go ahead and chat about this collection because I definitely have some thoughts. So I'm going to go ahead and start off on a high note with these Super Shock highlighters because I love these. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I like the shades that they chose. I really enjoy the formula, and it's 100% on par with the Super Shock formula that I know and love. So if these are two shades that resonate with you and you want a little something from this collection, I highly recommend these. These were my favorite out of everything that we tried today. But coming in second place is going to be the little Jelly Mutt shadows. I know I only got to one of them, and I only used it in a really small spot, but I liked the formula. I like the performance of it. I do like the fact that they dry down really fast and they didn't leave like a sticky feeling on my lid. They weren't like really runny and made a big mess. They were very user friendly, and I think it looks beautiful on the inner corner. So I'm excited to try these in more looks, tap them over top, use them more like on more lid space and things like that. But these are really nice as well. But let's chat about the eyeshadow palette because I have to say I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little underwhelmed. I wanted a little bit more. The packaging is adorable. I love the packaging on here and it's really cute, so I will give them that. But the color story in here, it falls just a little flat for me. I feel like this shade right here didn't have enough base to it to give me what I wanted. I feel like if it had been maybe like a darker pink, there would have been more versatility with this palette. I also don't understand why we have these two shades down here because this black was not nearly as pigmented as I wanted. Maybe there was a little bit of this shade up here that I was going on over top, and by itself it would be more pigmented, but overall I feel like these are so incredibly close in shade that we really didn't need both in this palette. They could have given us more variety. We could have had more mid-tones in this palette with that. This shade right here, it's pretty, but unless you go in with a white eyeshadow base, I don't see it really doing much because I don't really see much of that shade on my lid except for where I went over top of it with this one right here. So while this is a really pretty color story, I feel like the matte selection in here just falls a little flat. It is very pretty. I didn't have any issues performance wise. I did end up getting two really pretty looks, but I feel like I need to pull something else in to use with this palette to give me the looks that I personally want. The shimmers in here are really pretty though. I do feel like we have a good variety, but again, they don't have that deep base that I want. This one is not nearly as dark on the lid as I thought it was going to be, and this one is very sheer when you pick it up as well. Like it definitely has more of that translucent base to it. So as far as shimmers go in here, this is going to be the only one that's really going to give you any depth. And while I don't always go for a deeper shimmer, I do like something to kind of blend everything into the outer corner and things like that. And this one will 100% do that, but it's the only one in here that's going to do it. Also, I do want to mention, and I said this before in the video, that a lot of these shimmers in here felt very dry and very flaky, and I went back and looked on the website and none of these claim to be pressed glitters, so I don't know what's going on with that either. We don't have any Super Shocks in here. We do have a couple that are a little bit more on the creamier side, such as this one and this one right here, and I think this one as well is a little bit more on the creamier side, but like this one and this one were both very textured. They didn't come off textured on the lid. They do look very pretty, but I got fallout when I applied them with a brush, so something to keep in mind. So overall, I think this is a very cute palette. The nostalgia is definitely there. I think they're definitely getting all of us millennials and Gen Zers with the nostalgia, but I don't think this is a necessarily like a need palette in your collection. If you want to pick it up because it's frosty and you think it'll be a good companion palette, or maybe you really like the tones in here and this is what you look for, then 100% I say go for it. But if you're expecting to get a lot of fun pastel looks with this palette, I think you're going to be disappointed and you're just not going to get it. So I need to keep playing with this palette. I definitely want to try it out with different eyeshadow bases and things like that and see if I can make it work. But at the same time, I don't like it when I have to make an eyeshadow palette work. Yes, I'm perfectly fine with using a white eyeshadow base, but my first instinct is to go in with my MAC paint pot, and I want something that's going to work no matter what I use. So that is going to complete this video. Those are my first initial impression thoughts. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. I want to know if you picked up this collection. If you did, what was your experience with it? What did you think of the looks? I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section. And as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week and I wouldn't want you to miss one. Until my next video, have a good one. Bye.